This is Smart Poker Study episode 218, Solid Poker Foundation, Coaching and Effective HUD Use. Last week's episode 217 cannot be missed. I taught you how to spot the fish at your tables and what to do once you find them. It's poker study time, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing the show with your poker friends. Now, I know that you're learning from it, so share the lessons that you learn with anyone that you don't mind improving their game. Just direct them to this or any other episode. Now, 2019 is the year of action, and this is the first Q&A episode of the new year. I am going to make some changes to the Q&A format, and I'll discuss that in just a second. But first, please go to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy to support the show. You can become a poker insider and get some valuable rewards for your support. Every month, new podcast and new training video rewards come out, and you want to be a part of it, I guarantee. Being that it's January, the new ones are coming out right around the corner. So once again, go to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. There are different levels of support with different rewards attached. And of course, once you begin your support on Patreon, you have access to the current month's reward, as well as access to the entire archive of patron-only content. Once again, patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. Please go to the show notes page for everything I discussed today, along with screenshots and links at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod218. So, as I alluded to earlier, I'm going to change the Q&A format this year. I'm still doing 3 questions, but I'm going to be more action-oriented. People email me because they have a skill they want to improve, or maybe a leak that they want to plug. The best way I can help is by guiding them and you towards taking beneficial actions. So, for every question, I'm going to treat it like somebody is asking me what to do. My answer is always going to begin with an action step to take, either on the felt or off the felt. And next, after that, after the action step, I'm going to follow that up with any strategy or theory or just additional background information, the kind of stuff that I think will help implement the action that I gave you. And one final thing, Q&A no longer stands for question and answers, but instead, they are questions and actions. Well, we are wasting time. Let's step into action. Gambate!
Warm it all up! Everything you got! Come on, you ape! You want to live forever?
Alrighty, the first one today is about developing a solid poker foundation, and it comes to us from Scott Wolcott. One part of his email said, "So right now, the skill I need to develop is learning to identify which poker skills need to be improved before others. I think it's going to be either hand ranges or categorizing my opponents, but I'm not positive." Alrighty, well, thank you so much for that email, Scott. I appreciate it. So I love the fact that you sent this in, Scott. It's basically about developing a solid poker foundation from the ground up. So here's the action that I want you to take. Figure out which foundational element to work on first by utilizing the list of MEDs within the show notes page for episode 87. And there's a link to that in today's show notes. The list of MEDs is in order of importance, and each part builds on the previous. It's like a roadmap for your studies that takes you along your journey to profitable poker. I want you, Scott, to start with number 1, which is pre-flop ranges. For you, this is just perfect. This is right what you need. But for others listening, maybe they're going to start with number 4 and work on blind play, or maybe number 6 and they'll work on C-bets. Whichever foundational element is missing from your game, that is where you're going to work over the next week or more. Listen to the podcast episodes, do every challenge I give in those episodes, and play with purpose around practicing the foundational skill that you're on. Alrighty, so a little bit more background on that action step right there. If you, Scott, or anybody else, if you purchased my 3rd book, Pre-Flop Online Poker, then that would be a better thing to study than that list of MEDs from episode 87. The book was written after all of the podcast episodes, so I refined a lot of my teachings for the book. For example, in the book, I moved understanding opponents, I moved that to the first domino. So it's just as critical as learning your ranges, Scott. It's right in line with what you were thinking there. But if you are learning from episode 87 and the list of MEDs there, you want to listen to Understanding Opponents first, which was episodes 123, 124, and 125. Do that before you work on your ranges, because these episodes are going to help you with your range understanding. Once you have a better understanding of opponents and those styles of play that there are, ranges kind of fit right along with those different styles. So study those episodes first. And all of this work is going to take you some time, Scott, so do not rush it. If it takes you 3 weeks to create, use, and then become comfortable with ranges, so be it. You're going to be a far better player for taking your time and studying and implementing everything fully before you move on to the next foundational element. And make sure you follow the MEDs and you work on all things pre-flop before you go post-flop, because a solid pre-flop game sets you up for post-flop success. Alrighty, thanks again for that question, Scott. Question number 2 is about my coaching. Now, I receive, especially with the new year, right? Everyone has resolutions, they want to improve their game. I've received a lot of emails asking about my coaching. But I don't want to single out any one person right now, so I'm not going to name somebody. But the basic question is, hey, do you offer coaching and what are the details? So I'm going to take this opportunity right now to tell you all my coaching details, because I do have spots available. And I'm also going to give one lucky listener a free hour of coaching as a prize. And I'm going to tell you how you can win that with the action step. Here it is. Send an email to sky@smartpokerstudy.com and type the word coaching as the subject. In the body of the email, tell me why you want coaching. I'm going to select one lucky winner, and I will announce them in the next Strategy Friday episode number 219. But there's always a catch, right? There's always a little bit of fine print. If you win, you agree to allow me to record the full hour and post 15-minute clips of it to promote my coaching. So I'm going to help you with your game, and in return, you'll help me gain more coaching clients. So if that works for you, go ahead and send me that email, sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Alrighty, so that's an action, a very easy action for you to take, of course. Now, let's talk about my coaching. It is centered around your database of online hands. We comb through your database, and I point out leaks as well as profit-making opportunities. I also give you actionable steps to take both on and off the felt. These steps are going to get you actively working on your game. Now, I coach online micro stakes from 2 NL to 100 NL, and here are the details. The sessions are 1 hour long, and we do them via Zoom meetings every other week. If you are gung-ho and you have 20 hours to dedicate to study and play, we could do it weekly, but I really recommend for everybody every other week. It just gives you time to absorb everything that your coach gives you and do a ton of practice on all those different things. Now, before the first session, you're going to send me your database of the most recent 20,000 hands or more. And I'll start looking through your database and your stats to start learning about your game. Also, before that first session, you're going to record 30 minutes of game tape with you speaking through your decisions. The first session will be us reviewing your game tape. During that review, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions about the actions that you took, which is going to help me learn about your strengths and your weaknesses. And I will give you actionable steps that you can use in your very next session to start improving your game. We'll also hit your database for a little bit to see where your stats are and where you can start making some immediate changes to improve your game with your very next play session. Now, every session following that first one is going to have us reviewing your database of hands in relation to one topic. It might be c-betting, 3-betting, calling rivers, or something else. You know I'm all about kind of focusing our studies on one thing and avoiding overwhelm. In my coaching sessions, I try to keep it all on one topic. It seems like it helps everybody learn a little bit more instead of jumping from 3-bets to c-bets to river calls. You don't want to do all 3 in one session. No. The topic of focus, it's going to depend on the leaks that you suffer from or where you specifically want help to improve some skills. If you really want to work on 3-bets, but I think that c-betting is a bigger leak of yours, then we'll work on what you want to focus on first, because I try to be as an accommodating coach as I can. And then later on, maybe we'll get to the things that I want to work on to help improve those skills or plug those leaks of yours. And through the sessions, we're going to track your stats, we're going to review hands, and we're going to discover additional leaks. At the end of each session, I'm going to give you a plan which is tailored to fit your needs, and it's going to include on-the-felt and off-the-felt action steps that you must accomplish to improve your game before our next session. The plan that I give you is basically your homework, on-the-felt and off-the-felt homework, and you are responsible for executing that homework. I also record each session, and I send you the recording afterwards, so you can watch it again at your leisure and take notes. And speaking of notes, I take notes on a Word document for you, but you can also take your own, and I send you that Word document afterwards. So you have a Word document as well as the video to reference, to restudy all the stuff. Now, let's talk about prices. I know you're interested in this. I am not cheap, I'm going to tell you. 1 hour is $100. You can book 3 sessions for $270. That's a 10% discount. You can book 6 sessions for $480, 20% discount. Or you could book 12 sessions for $840. That is a 30% discount. So if you want to go ahead and book me for any coaching, send me an email. I'll reply back as soon as possible. Or you can go to smartpokerstudy.com/coaching to get more details there. And just a few shout-outs today. Marios Yanaku and Tony Kiviniemi purchased the Smart HUD for Poker Tracker 4 from me. They've seen me use it. They see me talk about it. They know how beneficial it is. Maybe they have friends who bought it. I really didn't ask them how they came to purchase the Smart HUD. But they did, and I know that they're using it right now to crush them opponents. So all you have to do is go to smartpokerstudy.com/smarthud to purchase it for yourself and follow in Mario's and Tony's footsteps. And remember, it is for Poker Tracker 4, not for Hold'em Manager. And one final shout out, Frank Loriano purchased the Mashing the Micros webinar. He is working on his micro stakes game, trying to build up that bankroll to bust through the micros and make the buku bucks. So if you want Mashing the Micros for yourself, just go to the show notes page and click the link right down there for $5 off. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. Question 3 today comes to us from Al Matthews, and it's about effectively using a HUD. Here's what he said in the body of an email. I may be suffering from information overload. If so, I would like to use your HUD to try to improve my game. Well, thanks for that email, Al. So I already told you this via email, but I want to let everybody know now, having a good HUD isn't a magical bullet to help you avoid overload and start pulling good data from the table and start making good decisions. What is going to work is taking the time to learn all of the stats, learn their placement of them in the HUD, and then utilizing them in game. So that's what this action step is all about. Here it is. Focus on one stat per play session until you are comfortable with your entire HUD. If your HUD has 17 stats on it, like my Smart HUD does, then you'll start with the most important, which is likely VPIP. After VPIP, proceed to pre-flop raise, and then 3-bet, and then so on. So that's a pretty simple action step, right? Let me give you a little bit more information here to help you complete the action step. First, for the stat that you choose, Poker Tracker 4 will give you the definition and the formula. So all you have to do is go to the Configure menu, select Statistics, and then search for the stat and then click on it. So VPIP, for example, the definition is percentage of the time that a player voluntarily contributed money to the pot, given that he had a chance to do so. So, you want to read that a couple times, wrap your mind around it. There's a few keywords. They're choosing to enter the pot right now when they have that chance to do so, right? Now, the VPIP formula, the number of times a player put money in the pot divided by the number of hands minus the number of walks. So you might want to think, why minus the number of walks? Well, if everybody folds to them in the big blind, they don't have the chance to VPIP. So you have to subtract those hands from the calculation or from the formula, or else basically it'll throw off. It's not a true percentage, right? So once you understand this, the definition and the formula, you want to do some Google research. Just type in the stats name and look for articles to read or videos to watch or podcasts to listen to. For example, I just went to Google and I typed in VPIP, VPIP, and that gave more articles, more videos, and more podcasts than you can possibly hope to read. So once you do that search, just choose a couple of them and get to studying. As you're studying, you want to take notes to help you utilize the stat percentage in game. You also want to take a look in Poker Tracker 4 at your own percentage and for this stat and see how it might change by position. So VPIP, for example, hopefully it increases as position gets later, which shows that you're positionally aware and you're not playing too many hands in early position. Lastly, you want to play your sessions with one stat as your focus. So for VPIP again, every time somebody enters a pot, look at their VPIP percentage and try to imagine the range they're playing. When the flop hits, imagine how well their range interacts with the flop. Do this for every hand dealt, and eventually VPIP will become second nature, and glancing at them, or glancing at that stat when your opponent enters the pot, you'll be able to glance at it, gain real quick meaning from it, and make positive EV decisions based on it. Now, after VPIP, after the comfortability sets in and you can use it in-game, you're going to repeat the entire process for the next most important stat. So go to PFR, then 3-bet, then C-bet, or fold to 3-bet, whatever you feel is the next most important. Alrighty, thanks again for that email, Al. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. I just gave you 3 different challenges. Now it's your time to shine! Choose the one that's most applicable to the improvements that you are striving for right now. And get to work! The only way you'll improve is by stepping into action. And to help you out, here are some words of wisdom from Starship Troopers and Lieutenant Ratchek.
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me?
We get you, sir!
This episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at smartpokerstudy.com/pod218. You can go there for screenshots and links to everything discussed today and to discover ways in which you can support the podcast and keep me keeping on. And remember, if you're interested in 1 free hour of coaching or just coaching in general, send me an email, sky@smartpokerstudy.com, and tell me why you want that coaching. Thank you so much for listening today. Make sure you step into action with at least one of the action steps I gave you today. If you can type or say the word Smart Poker Study, you can find me on Alexa, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Alrighty, poker people, in the next Strategy Friday episode number 219, I'm gonna hit you with more action. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so thank you very much for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.